Free your thoughts and watch them fly.
Normally we all have fun here on this channel, sharing a laugh, debunking stupid pseudoscience like young earth creationism and the flat earth. But today, we have something completely different, as you can see by my attire. Today's video will cover such serious topics as race, racism, the origins of mankind, space aliens, and the hollow inner earth where a race of hairy porcupine men fight the morbidly obese in an ancient war. And if you think any of that is a joke, the joke is on you, because it's 100% real and serious. So serious that I have been tasked by a certain agency, which will remain unnamed, to wipe the memory of all those who see this at the end of the video, using the patented flashy pen thing from Men in Black. So, you have to be sure to watch all the way to the end and subscribe and hit the bell so you won't forget, because you will be losing brain cells by the end of this. Today, we're going to be talking about Yakub, the inventor of white people. Yes, you heard that right, the inventor of white people. Let me explain. Yakub is a character created by Wallace Fard Muhammad, the founder of the black supremacist religious cult known as the Nation of Islam, which still has thousands of adherents today. According to Fard Muhammad, thousands of years ago, a chunk of the moon broke off and formed the Earth. Yes, the moon predates the Earth, which was inhabited by a race of superhuman, morally righteous black people who founded the city of Mecca. The smartest among them was the genius inventor, Yakub, who had an extremely large head and created magnets at the age of 6, as one does. After exhausting all of the available knowledge in all of the universities, Yakub went off to the island of Patmos and began a brutal eugenics breeding program. This story originated in the 1930s before the discovery of DNA as the molecule of inheritance, so in Fard Muhammad's telling, the black germ is selectively bred out by eugenics and genocide until after about 600 years, voila, you get white people.
Wow.
Now, I am not a geneticist, but during my biochemistry undergrad, I did take both genetics and experimental genetics lab courses, so while I don't have a genetics degree per se, what I do have are a very particular set of skills. Skills I have acquired over a very long debunking career. So, what is the actual science behind the origins of, quote, white people? Well, first of all, biologically speaking, there is no such thing as race. The genetic differences that exist between black and white people are superficial and are actually just a fraction of all the variation that exists within African populations. There are black people in Africa who are more genetically similar to Europeans than they are to other African groups. That's how much genetic variation there is in Africa. And that's because humans originated there and then spread throughout the world. But genetic information has been continuously exchanged between people groups for all of human history, so there is no subspecies. We truly are one race, genetically and biologically speaking. If you sequenced everyone's genomes in the world and then asked a supercomputer to sort them into groups based on their genes, it would never, in a trillion years, replicate the racial categories as we know them. They're social constructs. Race is not a significant or meaningful division when it comes to your genetics. That being said, racial categories can and do affect how people are treated by others in society. So just because race is not biologically real, that doesn't mean that it cannot have very real impacts on people's lives. The social designation of someone's race is typically correlated with some arbitrary aspects of their physical appearance. So like having a unibrow doesn't make you part of the unibrow race, neither does having red hair or glasses make you part of the red hair race, But your skin color is sufficient to classify you socially based on race. Unless you're an albino. Again, just further emphasizing the arbitrary nature of these racial categories. So, if there is no racial group in biology or genetics who are all more similar to each other than to other races, how can we even ask where white people come from? Well, we know that when Homo sapiens first evolved in Africa, our ancestors' skin was highly melanated. And for the vast majority of our history as a species, all Homo sapiens had this dark skin. This might be surprising, but it was not until very recently, in the grand scheme of things, that white people came about and became prevalent as a people group. At least the stereotypical white people with pale skin, light hair, and blue eyes. So, where do these people come from, and how do we know? So even though we cannot do an analysis for white people in general, because that's not a biological category, we can look at the genes that contribute to the phenotypic features associated with white people. So let's look at what the archaeogenetics shows us about the origins of these genes themselves that are responsible for pale skin and fair hair and blue eyes. It's only been within the last 20 years or so that scientists even had the technology to finally answer questions like this, using the very new field of archaeogenetics, the study of ancient DNA samples. Using this ancient DNA, scientists have discovered that modern European people, who are commonly called white people, are primarily descendants of three different groups from the ancient past. The first of these groups, the one that has the least amount of genetic contribution to the modern day, are the indigenous Europeans, the Western hunter-gatherers. Now, these people had dark skin and blue eyes and dark hair. So they did have the gene OCA2, which is responsible for the blue eyes of Europeans today. However, that is one of the only genes that survives from this ancestral indigenous European population to the modern day. Blonde hair, associated with the KITLG gene, originated in ancient North Eurasian populations around 18,000 years ago, and this gene came to Europe through migrations from the steppe. And the most significant of these migrations is associated with a group of people called the Yamnaya. This is the second people group that would contribute to modern-day Europeans, and by far the Yamnaya are the bulk of the genetic contribution. The Yamnaya people originate from the steppes of Central Asia, and they had the genes SLC24A5 and A2, which are the two genes primarily responsible for the light, pale skin of modern Europeans today. They're not the only genes, there's a few other ones, but they are the ones that predominate and the ones we'll be focused on today. Now, while molecular clocks date the origins of these genes to over 20,000 years ago, we don't see them becoming widespread in Europe until closer to 5,000 years ago. Now, this is a major event which the study of ancient DNA has actually instructed us about. An event from ancient history with no written records or sources, but the DNA still tells the story. The Yamnaya people came in from the steppes and swept into Europe from the east, replacing the indigenous population of Western hunter-gatherers who, if you'll recall, were dark-skinned with light eyes. These Yamnaya people have pale skin but have dark eyes, and some had blonde hair, but most would have darker hair. What made these Yamnaya people such an indomitable force was the horse. This was the first introduction of the domesticated horse into Europe. It came with these Yamnaya people as they swept in through the steppe and replaced the native populations in Europe. The genetics also tells us that this was probably a militaristic migration, as it is the young men of the Yamnaya who seem to have the disproportionately large contribution to the gene pool of modern Europeans, which is not something that typically happens when you have consensual mixing of populations. But I said there were 3 groups, and we've only covered 2 of them so far. Before the arrival of the Yamnaya, you actually had another people group that was migrating into Europe from the south through Greece and Thrace. These were the Anatolians, the first people to introduce agriculture and farming to the European continent. Genetically, they are pretty indigenous to Anatolia, which is modern-day Turkey. Now, these people had the same genes for pale, light skin as the Yamnaya, suggesting a common origin of the genes contributing to paler skin in the Caucasus somewhere around 28,000 years ago. The Anatolians learned farming from other Middle Eastern communities to their south, and then they brought this package of agriculture and animal husbandry into Europe when they began moving into Greece and then spreading to the north and west all the way through Italy and Spain. Now, there was limited genetic admixture that we can tell between these Anatolian early farmers and the Western hunter-gatherer people, but there was not population replacement either. The Anatolian farmers lived in Europe for thousands of years, even establishing really advanced proto-cities like the Cucuteni Trapilia culture in Eastern Europe, which had very advanced pottery, and some of the earliest advanced metalworking and goldsmithing is found amongst these people, like Varnaman, one of the most elaborately decorated early graves in human history. These Anatolian farmers, though they would have had pale skin, would have had mostly brown eyes and dark hair. So first you had the dark skin, light eye, indigenous European natives that were hunter-gatherers. Then from Anatolia you had this lighter skin but still dark hair and dark-eyed people introduced into Europe from migrations coming out of Turkey, who introduced agriculture in these settled societies. And then finally, around 5,000 years ago, you have the Yamnaya horse warriors sweeping in like the proto version of the Mongols and just wrecking shop, completely supplanting the indigenous populations and establishing their own patriarchal societies across Europe, where you have the light eyes associated with the OCA2 gene from the indigenous hunter-gatherers. You have the lighter skin tones from the Anatolian farmers and the Yamnaya, and then you have the fair hair coming from the North Eurasians. So all of this is mixed together to the point where it's really not until within the last 5,000 years that you actually start to see the proliferation of people that would fit the modern day societal designation of white people. So there's no Yakub, but they are a fairly recent invention in the grand scheme of things. But this is not where Yakub's story ends. It's been nearly 100 years since Fard Muhammad first came up with Yakub, and in that time, a lot has happened. You've had splinter groups come out of the Nation of Islam that have gotten real weird with it, shall we just say. In the 60s and 70s, this guy, Dwight York, took the Yakub story and some of the Nation of Islam teachings and mixed it with like ancient aliens and UFOs and hollow inner earth stuff. Basically, if the Nation of Islam is like the Lord of the Rings, then Dwight York's work is like the Silmarillion. It is the deep lore behind Yakub, fleshing out his backstory and all the various races, and it is a lot. I wanted to cover it all in a debunked video myself, but doing it all alone was just too insane for one person to handle. So I enlisted the help of friends of the channel, Bad Science Sunday. For those of you who don't know, Bad Science Sunday over on Maya Atkinson's channel covers pseudoscience and debunks it every single week on Sunday. Maya is super smart and insightful when it comes to pseudoscientists. She has a master's degree in psychology, and her partner, Dr. Tapioca Weasel, is actually not a weasel. He's a human with a PhD in physics who does some seriously cool, cutting edge research on Bose-Einstein condensates, super cooled molecular clouds, the intersection of lasers and dark matter tests. It's really, really exciting stuff. He's a wicked smart dude, and he's physics royalty. He is the grandson of the guy that invented the Van de Graaff generator. And I decided to break both of their brains and yours, dear audience members, by showing you all this video and his interpretation of the Yakub story that is going to involve ancient aliens, porcupine men, a hollow inner earth, intergalactic telepathy, the whole 9 yards. It is insane. It's one of the most insane videos I've ever debunked on this entire channel, and this stream in particular with Tap and Maya is probably one of the funniest streams I've ever done. I was laughing just trying to edit it all together. So I think that you guys are gonna like it. Strap in. It is a insanely wild ride, but it is hilariously worth it.
The title of the video, The Scientists Who Change History Forever, Yakub, The Untold Story, which is 2 titles for the record. This is from this channel OSM. The rest of it's cut off because I had to zoom in. And they have 80.7 thousand subscribers, and this video has 88,000 views and is from like 5 days ago.
Yeah. Let me just.
Well, that's pretty impressive, actually. Yeah.
Let me actually get serious here for a second and say that in all seriousness, this might be the most insane video I have ever seen on YouTube. So
you didn't watch the Curiology video, did you?
I shared it with Maya, and she said, of course, we would never cover something so insane. And then she just eventually said, okay, why not? Fuck it. And here we are. So I just want to apologize for everyone because the amount of insanity that you're about to be exposed to is potentially lethal, and that is my fault.
Yeah.
It's all Grayson's fault.
Yeah.
This is not a show that no people are harmed in the making of. Multiple people are harmed every week in the making of this show. Mostly us.
Drink up.
You can potentially be harmed tonight too, so just be on your guard.
Let me know if I need to slow it down, okay?
You started
about
just go.
Yakub, the big head.
Yeah, so this is what we're talking about. Yakub, the big head scientist.
You're asking that question about Yakub, the big head scientist. That is such a big story that I think I'm going to read some stuff because it's a very big story, right? So you can find that story for those who have the Holy Tablets, right? In chapter 16, the Underworld. That's the chapter. The name of the chapter is chapter 16, the Underworld. And you can see.
Oh, what are we looking at here? Does it matter?
We are looking at Sinister's purpose. Sinister's question to you: how do I use magnets to erase my memories of watching Terrence Howard say pi is a whole number in circles of corners?
I forget.
If you stick around to the end of this stream, your memories will be wiped for free.
Yup. Boom.
A picture there of the Donakil. Now, I'm going to read some information. The best book really that goes into the details of the Yakub story is the book called Shambhala and Agatha, Cities Within, right? The Cities Within, because the planet Earth is hollow.
Cities
right?
within the Earth. Oh, Doc, this is right up your alley.
I am a student of the hollow Earth truth of reality.
I actually went deep down into the rabbit hole trying to figure out what the fuck this video even is today. And the things I discovered are just mind-blowing. First of all, I've never had so much difficulty researching anything on the internet before. Like,
really?
They have actually covered their tracks here. They've deleted all the websites, all the Wikipedia pages, nothing. So I found out that this YouTube channel used to be a London-based music and media group that was like putting out rap videos like 10 years ago. Yeah, if you look at their channel, their most popular views are like a mix of this guy giving crazy talks from the last 12 months and then like 10 years ago a bunch of rap videos from London. And at some point they transitioned from a music and media group to just a cult. And I don't know when that happened, but I did some research, and this guy talks about his master who taught this guy everything, and he's now the guru, the sensei at this OSM London-based group. And he's the one that's the one that says the master, the teacher on this channel. And he says that his master, he hasn't named it, but they call themselves it was like the United Sumerians. And when I looked that up, that is a renaming of an old cult from like the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and 2000s. And that's where all this comes from. So it was this guy named White York, and he started this whole thing in like the 70s, and he was the one, like, he took the Nation of Islam kind of ideology and then introduced UFOs and aliens and inner earth to it from a sci-fi magazine from the 40s. That apparently this guy was writing this science fiction magazine, and one of the readers came in and said, listen, I discovered an ancient proto-human language, and only I can speak it, and it's revealed deep truths about the aliens that are living inside the earth. And the guy was like, how do you know this? Sign me up. And like, he became convinced. He was fired from the science fiction magazine because he was insisting that his stories were real. And then like, eventually this all like over the next 80 years will build into this video that we are watching now, where you're going to learn all about his deep insights about the aliens that live on the inner earth and how they created white people.
But one of them created white people.
Yes, and we're going to figure out why. And really quick, before the last thing, I just want to read the charges that the founder of this cult was charged with back in 2004 when they confiscated his property, which was a massive compound with its own pyramid and sphinx on it. Because
Was it structuring?
Yeah, no, it wasn't structuring. It's a little bit worse than that. Let me see. His case was reported as the largest prosecution for child molestation ever directed at a single person in the history of the United States, both in terms of the number of victims and the number of incidents. So that's why they've rebranded. That's why they don't say who the name of the old cult leader was, and like this guy has a new made-up name named Second, and he just refers to his master, his teacher. He never names him, and that's why they changed the name of the cult from the old one to now they don't even say their name. Actually, they are very careful not to describe anything about them or to link any websites or even have an about page where you can read about who they even are.
You know, as much as I hate it, way to like denounce pedophilia. Like, holy shit, though. God. We have a whole like political party that won't do that.
Well, I don't know if there's so much as denouncing it as just trying to pretend it never happened,
yeah.
and hide it and distract from it so nobody knows about it.
But, you know, they did distance themselves and kick the PDF file out. So,
oh no, they didn't kick
more
him out.
than the Republicans are doing.
Pause, Maya. They did not kick him out. They insist to this day that he is free and that he is innocent of all charges.
Oh, okay.
This man is still.
You should have led with that.
Yeah. Sorry, the guy that started this all back in the 60s and 70s is like, he's in his 80. I think he's about to be 80 years old, and he's still in federal prison to this day. And they say that he's innocent and never did any of that. So no, they're just as bad.
Okay. Yeah. Very nice. Well, we here do not advocate any PDF files here, and you will never see them in my community and or in my side chat. And
fantastic question. So that's this guy's master?
Yes, that's this guy learned everything he knows from that PDF file.
Okay.
Diagram called the Hollow Earth, but that diagram explains.
And there's a map of the inside of the Earth, so you can see what is inside the Earth, where all these ancient alien races live.
In the Earth.
And you can see, if you zoom in there, you see that you can enter the interior of the Earth in Kentucky. There's Mammoth Cave there in Kentucky.
Oh, yeah.
Joe?
You can.
That's the
Oh,
entrance.
I was not aware.
Yeah.
Is Joe still here?
Is Joe still here? Joe,
Joe,
you did not tell us that we could get inside the Earth from Kentucky. God damn it. Robin, are you still here?
Yeah, we need somebody to. Oh, yeah, there. Yeah, somebody in the chat is asking, is it the Nuwaubian nation? Yes, that these people are the Nuwaubians. That's the cult today. That's what they call themselves sometimes.
How could they not tell us? I feel so like.
Oh, if you ever want to lose faith in humanity, Maya, read the comments for this video where everybody's praising
Oh.
him for being such a great teacher and getting all this important information.
Look, I
Yeah,
just had
we
to
don't do
live
that.
through. It wasn't even a whole month ago yet that I lived through a very disturbing election. Maybe we'll do that and like give me another month. We'll see how I feel. But I'm just
about
already like so like nihilistic about mankind. So
Well, that's okay because we're gonna learn about other races that are not mankind.
yeah, because that's possible.
because the planet Earth is hollow, right? And there's a diagram called the hollow Earth. But that diagram explains about how the planet is hollow. And when we say hollow, there are actually caverns. So depending on how far you're digging down into the center of the Earth, there are caverns on the way. And that map called the hollow Earth, you can Google it and you see it. There are caverns in between, not right in the center, but like in between as you're going down. Many, many different caverns. And those caverns have been there for a long time.
You can Google it, therefore it's true.
And you have different extraterrestrials that live there. And the Donakil,
They're not extraterrestrials, they're subterrestrial.
No. They are extraterrestrial. That they came from outside of the Earth, from various stars and galaxies, and then moved into the interior of the Earth.
I hate this.
Well, it's
From the
okay
picture of-
because no humans are indigenous to the Earth. We all originate from the stars or from hybrid crossings of the inner Earth aliens. He explains at the end of this video, he explains every single race and where they originate from.
Yeah, we're gonna have to skip to that after we get through some of the introduction.
Yeah.
And then come back because we're not gonna cover this whole video.
No. Ain't nobody got time for
It's one of
that.
those.
Yeah,
beings.
it's what
Then
is
you have, like,
24 minutes.
And
Yeah.
I
the
think
Donakil, who
there's some people here who would love for us to cover the whole video.
I've shown a picture of, is one of those beings. Then you have like the Duanis. Yeah, the Duanis.
What?
They look,
What?
The Duanis.
What?
Oh, guess what race is related to the Duanis? The descendants of the hairy gremlin people.
Oh God!
Okay,
of
wait.
course.
I'm not going to answer that. There's no answer that I
yeah.
can give to that.
You
That's
should not guess on that.
problematic.
No, I can't imagine. It's just can't imagine. Don't
I mean,
guess
the
that.
Swedes
It's
is
a trick.
a safe
No, it's
one.
a
'cause
trap.
It's obviously not.
It's
the
a
Swedes.
trap. You don't want to guess.
Exactly.
yeah, the Duanis. They look like that. They're like porcupine beings. They are very smart.
They're porcupine beings.
You have the Teros. Yeah, the Teros.
Sorry,
They look like that. These are like the
Terrorists.
conehead. Like,
So yeah, these are the cone heads from Saturday Night Live.
you would
Yeah,
have seen
there
in, like,
are
Star Trek
actual
and certain-
cone heads.
You have the Teros. Yeah, the Teros. They look like that. These are like the cone that you would in like Star Trek and certain movies that depict these different beings. But the Earth has a grid system, right? As you can see there. This
It's a grid system, and you may know this from every esoteric thing you've ever seen. You know, it's
Also,
like all the pyramids, they align on the grid, and then you get that pyramid splooge energy, you know, because they're on the grid. This grid, actually.
It's not. Is that even a grid?
Yes, it's the Earth's grid system. It is one and the same.
That's a graph. Is it a grid though?
Look, everybody in the woo-woo community says yes.
Yeah, that is
And
like
you know
negative.
it is because
That's
of them
like
constantly
negative
calling it a
evidence,
grid.
Maya.
All the pyramids
also
are on the
use the
grid.
word
You know
qual-
this. Like, we've been through this. And that's how
Maya,
you get the splooge energy.
Maya, please kick me off the panel.
There's so much information. I'm just building up to then go into that story of Yakub, because Yakub, who's referred to as the big head scientist,
And you take this seriously?
Wait,
There's only one way to take this.
I'm sorry. Yes.
The
This
answer is always aliens. And one of those aliens was the big head scientist. God, is this still...
No, Maya. Yakub was not an alien, okay? He was a specific hybrid child of two of the alien species on the inner Earth.
then
That
go into that
explains the
story
shape of his head.
of Yakub, because Yakub, who's referred to as the big head scientist, he came about as a product of a mixture
Well,
between
two
the
brains.
Dunarkil and the Teros.
So
So yeah, that whole chapter, if
you
you read
have
the
to have
Underworld,
like
chapter
a big head to hold all that brains.
Well, yeah. So
I
what
mean,
Maya is saying is completely accurate and serious. Yakub had 2 different brains in one head. That's why his head is so big. And the
and
shape of
also, did you know the brains could just spontaneously combust? I know we haven't gotten to this yet. I was shocked.
I can't believe you actually watched this whole thing.
Twice.
I'm so sorry. I didn't even watch this whole thing.
Thanks,
Saying the
Grayson.
quiet part out loud, me neither. But like the chat knows that about me. The chat
No,
knows
yeah,
that I
you're
don't
very
watch
honest
horror.
about not.
Yeah.
I was trying to find some way out of it. It was just like, I guess we're going with this.
Well, Maya, like
Sir.
one of us has to like do the bare minimum of work and like review the video we're gonna watch, and like it's obviously not gonna be me. Okay, so
16 in the Holy Tablets goes into it, and the book Shambhala and Agatha, Cities Within, that goes into more detail. But what I'm going to do is, again, from even the Melaninite children, which is scroll number 133.
is this real? The melanin.
Is this real? Grayson, would you like to answer that question?
The answer is yes, Tab. This is very real and very serious.
This is like if somebody like took the transcript of a bunch of parody shows and then just said, "This is my new religious belief."
My favorite part about this is actually the fact that there's no author listed because they don't want you to be able to know who wrote this.
No, it was clearly God.
Oh, God.
That goes into. So what I'm going to do is just read an excerpt.
This is why we have a "Why are you like this" emoji, by the way, chat. So
Yeah.
And then talk about Yakub. All right, so the question on page 43 says descendants of the Deros, right? It shows you that the Deros, which I didn't mention, but they're like the obese-looking types of beings. But then there's a question. You mentioned 2 other groups of beings earlier. The Dunarkil, all right? I'm going to write some of the words that are quite hard to maybe know. So the Dunarkil and the Terror.
well, I mean, there's a whiteboard.
There is. I mean, which, like, how does that not give this all the credence in the world?
Some of my favorite comments were like, "Thank you so much. This video clarified so much for me. Now I get it." Oh, okay. It's the Dunarkil and the Teros had a hybrid with 2 brains who was not one of the Durrani. Those guys are related to somebody else.
Well, I mean, yeah, gratitude for this right on time post. I found this video after trying to explain who Yakub was to my son. I have shared this video with him.
Oh, God.
I would absolutely
But
love
what
to
state
know
is this
how that
person in?
works.
I need to call Child Protective Services.
They're in some sort of like psychotic or delusional state.
Well,
Oh,
wait.
that's not what you meant.
I can't
Before
for
you
fucking
throw out
states.
allegations, okay? I just got to be very clear here that the Taro and the Darrow, to go back to that science fiction writer that I was explaining, and he got it from a guy who was never actually diagnosed with schizophrenia, even though several experts did say that he was exhibiting schizophrenia-like symptoms. But I mean, that's just hearsay, okay? So let's not defame, okay? This very legitimate source discovered a proto-human alien and shared it with a science fiction writer who then shared it to this guy, and now we're learning about it as fact, okay? Just accept that, and let's move on.
All right.
Nobody knows, Jillian.
It's risk. This is where our master teacher comes from as well, right? It says the 8th planet risk.
I don't know what this is. I don't
That's
care.
the 8th planet, Risk.
Yes, it's the
We
8th
just
planet
said that.
Risk, where the Danaki originally come from before they moved into the hollow inside of the Earth.
Duh.
So
It's right there on the star map. I don't know what you're not getting about this.
Yeah.
I talked with my mom on Thanksgiving recently, and she was like, I watched some of the last episode, but you guys move so fast, and I never understand like what the
You
person
can put
you're
it on half the
responding
speed.
to. Well, you're right, but Maya,
It's
I
not
don't
going to
have a
help.
choice here.
I would just say it's my whole point. It's my only point.
You're right, but the part. The problem is that my mom is expecting a certain amount of coherency to the underlying thing that we're talking about.
What do we do? We did fucking Elon Musk. Like, there's no, like, that's not, no, look, all right, Mom, I love you too. But, okay, the topic, I believe, was CERN being a demonic portal and, like,
According to Elon.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, this
Look,
guy
we
has
can
some
only
thoughts.
work with what they give us.
This guy does
Yeah.
have some thoughts on the Large Hadron Collider as well.
Oh God.
Of the 19th galaxy, Ilion. Ilion is ILLYU. Ilion, right? That's the name of the galaxy. Have an abundance of
That's
melanin in their
Welsh.
skin, for they are related to your forefathers, the woolly-haired beings, those who bear 9 ether, the Anunnaki, right? Again, remember, these terms, this is when he was still teaching us the Sumerian doctrine and the terms that were being used, such as Anunnaki or Elohim, which we obviously know there are different species. And
I've never seen the word Anunnaki or the word Elohim spelled like this. Maybe that's not uncommon though.
I don't
No.
know. I
What?
have not. I don't know what he's reading from. Maybe that's how they spelled it in their book. I don't know.
Let me just say that later on in this video, he's going to spell Jew with a G. So I think they're just
Okay.
they're just winging the spellings at this point.
Point taken.
Oh God.
you know, we know them as the Panatharu today, all right? They're descendants of us, all right, who are the Shuyuk. The Shuyuk, that's spelled S-H-U-Y.
Who are these
UKH.
24 elders?
The Shuyuk, these are the elders, right?
The
The
Shield?
elders, the Riskians.
They are the
Riskians.
Yeah, they're from the 8th planet Risk. Have you
Yeah.
not been following along from the galaxy?
Yeah, we're in the galaxy.
Okay, so we have a
Iliad.
whole planet. Okay, this sounds like Black Islamic Mormonism. That's what it sounds like.
Okay.
This is the Silmarillion. Okay, we're going into all the deep lore here.
It says
I mean, it is a history of Middle Earth, right? Because it's hollow.
Wait,
No,
of
we're
our
in the
hybrid.
planet. Look, try to follow along. We're on the planet
we're on this
Risk,
very planet.
and we're going
Sorry.
through the 24 elders on the planet Risk.
See,
This is
Maya gets it.
important because of something in the inner Earth, which is possible because reasons.
Yes. See, Maya gets it. And
Maya
that's
gets
because-
it because she's smarter than me.
Exactly.
I
Okay.
am.
That's
I
the
am.
point I just wanted to make, Tab. And you know what? I don't want to say anything against your mom, but listen, okay? Tab, we are about to learn who on the panel is a failed genetic inferior experiment and who on the panel is the superior race. I'll just leave it at that.
The failed people are white people. Okay. Yeah,
I didn't want to say it, but
I can say it.
yeah, you can say it.
Why is this muted?
Right? So remember when I'm saying that book's called Shambhala, which actually means centered by Allah, depending on which language you're using to translate that word Shambhala.
It does.
And that's the book I was referring to. Okay. The center of the earth
Wait,
is a
real
special
quick.
base.
I want to clarify. When he says depending on which language you use to decipher it, they're including their own made-up language in that. Like these people have their own little Klingon made-up language, and that's they say
that's
the
awesome.
hidden meaning of these words is when you decipher them into our made-up language. So
Well, then you can just get away with anything.
and that's why they're changing all the spellings.
So we're in section 5. Do we want to keep going here, or do we
Yeah,
want
we
to
don't have
skip
to
to?
start. We don't have to talk about that. I think we said we wanted to skip over the genetics, but I did want to. Did we want to talk about the different people? I think that might actually be important.
I want to
When
get
they
to
start showing
there's a
like
part-
the.
There's a part where he starts talking about the fugal rods. I would like to talk about the fugal rods.
Okay.
I'll see if I can find where he gets that
I
because
found it.
In their skin are descendants of the Shuyuk. And those that lack melanin are the descendants of the Flugerods, right? So the Flugerods,
Those that lacked melanin are the descendants of the Fugel
Here's a depiction of the Flugorods, who were the first white people.
Flugel, yeah.
And
Oh wow!
Yeah.
These are vampires.
They're like little ogre trolls.
No,
Yeah,
look, they're
look at-
white devils. Like,
Yes.
They got the vampire teeth
no,
though.
look, they're white devils. Like, is this your first time hearing that term?
Yeah, you've never
Why
heard
It
of
cannot be a black thing. You've never heard of the white devil? These are clearly white devils.
Yeah, you might be familiar with the term Flugorod.
The Flugerods are a species of Europeans, if you want to look at that, use that term, that came before the Canaanites. Yeah? Or from Canaan. These were like 2,400 years before.
Yeah, because when I think of Canaanites, I totally think Europeans. Like, maybe technically, depending on where you divide a thing, certainly not nowadays, though.
They're not in any sense.
They're not, no. The only way you could get there is if you say, oh, all of the stuff surrounding the Mediterranean is Europe, which is remarkably dumb.
I didn't want to be the bearer of bad news, but
Yes, you did. Don't lie.
We do actually have Canaanite ancient DNA, and I'm sorry to inform you all of this, but they're 100% Flugorod.
Oh man.
No, actually, in reality, they're just indigenous to the Levant. They're Middle Eastern people. They're not blonde. They're not Flugorodonians. They're just Middle Eastern indigenous people to that area. So kind of like, black hair, dark eyes, olive or darker skin. So
For the Canaanites or the Canaanites, and they were 8,400 years before, right? So they would have been 8,400 years ago.
You had to start further over on the board. Okay, this is why you don't put a table right there. Your whiteboard discipline is extremely poor.
Canaanites are dealing with 6,000 years ago. So that's why 2,400 difference in terms of the time. Okay, so let's carry on. So it says that of the Shuk, and those that lack melanin are the descendants of the Flugorods or the Hilarity or Hulub.
I made the comment on a different still, not this one, that we could have literally done an entire episode just on one still of this book.
Yeah. Honestly, yeah. It's like you say the Tiro who have melanin in their skin are descendants of the Shukaya, and those that lack the melanin are the descendants of the Flugorods, the Halabians, or Hulub. Do you mean that the two tribes mixed, or are they the product of one or the other, as in the case of the Adamites? Oh yeah, the Adamites are a different tribe. So the answer is the chief of the Dunakil, called Rabboni.
Rabboni Fukur.
Fukur, the Black Seed, married a Sunnian Taro.
How
is this an answer? He starts talking about completely different tribes. The question was, did the white people interbreed, pretty much?
Yeah.
Did white people interbreed? And he starts talking about these brown tribes that established caverns and peace.
Okay, I didn't.
Did he hear the question?
No, Maya. My point. I'm gonna.
No. Yeah, no. I could do a solid half hour on this.
This is my point.
I followed 100% of everything that had been happening up till this point, but now I'm confused.
That's what happens when you let Maya explain things.
Look, this is what happens when you read stupid shit, which is why I won't do it.
So what we're going to do now, chat, is we're going to skip to this summary part. I don't know why I explained it that way. That sounded really stupid.
This person that people are calling Yakub, but just to tie it all up in a nutshell, we're saying that this person that people are calling Yakub, or the big head scientist, he came about by way of two different races that were living in the caverns in the world known as Shambhala, where you have many beings that coincide and live there. You had the Deros, who are the obese looking, and you had the Teros, which are the kind of like cone head looking beings. And they were always fighting each other. But the Teros were supposed to really keep the Deros in check, because the Deros are very aggressive, unruly, etc. Now, because of war going on between them all the time, the Donakil, they sought to have peace by mixing in with the Teros. And so what they did was, gave a daughter from one tribe to the other, and that daughter wasn't happy because she wanted to marry amongst her own, which were Teros, right, the cone-shaped ones. And so she ran away. But so the mixture, the child that was born between her and the leader's brother, Fuqua, brother.
Well, I thought she didn't want to, though.
Yeah, she doesn't,
was-
but it was a
She doesn't
forced
want
marriage.
to. She wants to marry like another tarot. Yeah, but
Yeah, the tarot and the darrow are
she's
having.
just a woman, and we aren't allowed to decide who we want to marry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Maya read all of this directly from the sacred text. Come on, Tab, keep up.
Well, I'm also black, and so therefore,
I'm not very smart, guys.
That's true.
Mhm.
Well, yeah.
Do you know who is smart? Left-handed Jedi, who's given us 10 more cult members. Holy shit. Like, that is like Yakub type big brain shit. Thank you, Jedi. And we were saying,
They produced this child that was a mixture of the Donakil, who have big heads, and the Teros, who have the cone heads. And what happened was that Yakub was the result of that birth. And because he had a big head, because he had two brains, and he was being teased by both sides, ridiculed, and he wasn't happy about it. So and that there was an influence by the Pleiadians who could actually telepathically.
Who are the what?
Okay, yeah, I'm a little bit unclear on the Pleiadians who are still.
But they're from the Pleiades.
I think they still live in the Pleiades. They don't live in the Hollow Earth, but they can telepathically communicate, and they are also evil because they're like you can tell they're evil. Just look at them right there, like.
Yeah, he looks like Anatar.
Yeah, he's like blonde, blue-eyed, evil. And so he's telepathically communicating to Yakub, putting evil thoughts in his head to make Yakub, who's getting teased by these advanced alien races that are so advanced, but they're still teasing this guy for his big-ass head. And
I believe
bullied.
that.
And now he's mad. He's mad at the world because he's bullied, but he thinks he's the smartest guy ever, and he's getting telepathic communications from an alien galaxy. And so you're following all that now, right, Tap? That cleared it up?
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
You know what I love about the Pleiadians?
Don't answer for me, Maya. You know I didn't follow any of that. Okay, I'm far too smooth-brained.
You look like the Pleiadian there. So and they are clearly an advanced race.
My hair is nowhere near that long and luscious. It is that long. It is not that luscious though. It's kind of stringy.
Did you just take a shower? Why does it look wet?
No, it's just because I put too much water.
Okay, yeah, I don't care about your hair care. Anyways, so what's really interesting about the Pleiades is that it is a super young star cluster, and I don't know that life would have had time to evolve there specifically to the point to develop technology to surpass us. I can't remember exactly how young really they are, but they're so young that dinosaurs would have been able to look up in the night sky and see the star cluster forming. They're so fucking young. I don't know why, of all the stars in the sky, those are the ones that
wow.
Yeah, wait.
150 to 75 million years estimated age for the Pleiades.
Yeah,
I'll show you.
Super young. Not even a billion, not even 1 billion, not even close.
Less than
they've evolved life. They evolved life, and have surpassed our technology since they formed. Yeah.
I'll show you, okay? On my not a whiteboard, but a map of the Milky Way. And you can see, here we are, and there the Pleiades right next door. So it's super, super close to our neighborhood here. And you can see they're right next to the Orion Nebula, which is still forming stars right now. So
I want that. Send it to me.
Okay.
Can you guess what my obnoxious shitty gotcha question about that map is?
Is it a real picture?
Close enough, because obviously, where did they take that picture from would have been the question. Because, obviously we're not there
obviously.
yet.
They went a couple of billion years in the
by
air.
controlling.
Actually, before you do that,
I thought you were going to yell at me for not doing it. So
we have a lot of love in the chat today.
His brain. He was very intelligent, obviously, because he had two brains. He finished school early, and because he was constantly being teased and ridiculed, he said he's going to create a being that was weak and wicked so that he will get his revenge and to prove to them that he was the god, because his plan was to create these beings and then kill them off after to
I feel like this doesn't end well for me.
You were a weak and wicked being created by a guy with two brains who was bullied too hard.
What? You know what? How can I weasel that out?
Personally, I think that explains everything.
Yeah.
show that he had control over them. Now, it wasn't just overnight, because the whole plan was to take his genes and his blood and to produce offspring, which would have come from the Donakil, being the melaninated beings, and obviously with the Teros, who would produce the brown germ. And then to take that, so what happened is all the children that were born, when they came, remember, this was done over a period of 600 years. Once he had to get followers, he had to basically build a crowd by preaching his doctrine and people that followed him, and he got ships and he loaded his ships with his followers.
This is the Silmarillion.
Yep.
Oh my god. Sorry, let me just back up a.
Oh, hey, look what we did for Porpoise. Congrats, girl.
Wow. I mean, if we subtract one, that's a way more like satisfying number.
I think it's
power of 2.
257 is satisfying. So
Yeah, but that's
Sorry, what were you gonna say?
From the Donakil.
I was making a joke about powers of 2. Because anyway,
take his genes and his blood and to produce offspring, which would have come from the Donakil, being the melaninated beings, and obviously with the Teros, who would produce the brown germ. And then to take that, so what happened is all the children that were born, when they came, remember, this was done over a period of 600 years. Once he had to get followers, he had to basically build a crowd by preaching his doctrine and people that followed him.
600 years. That's some
got
Pleiadian technology type, like
the
rapid.
weird part, and I still don't get this, is that he's saying it took 600 years to make white people, but at the same time, like a little bit, like maybe 20 seconds from now, he's about to say that Yakub dies at the age of 150. So I'm not getting it.
Well, they were working with the Pleiadians, who do have that rapid fire like technology development going. So maybe
probably time travel. Yeah.
Oh wait. Maybe it's like it took 600 years, but Yakub only was there for the first 150, and then his scientist.
Yeah, he did have a scientists under his tutelage that took over. Yeah,
right.
I don't know if they say it in this one, but that is part of the lore.
Yeah, you're totally right. Sorry, I was just like thinking, I'm like, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense, but that just totally clarified it. I'm on board now. So.
Oh, and for $2, Mark Agamotto wants to know: are we taking IQ in the negatives? You could possibly lose IQ watching this. Yeah.
Yeah, they the negatives would still be real numbers, which I think is ambitious. We might be in more complex territory, as it were.
And he loaded his ships with his followers to go on this journey. And what he was doing was, like, throughout that period, he was doing this breeding of taking the dark to the brown, and then the brown to the yellow, and then the yellow to the red, then to the pale. But how he did that was every child that was born that was dark, he would get rid of. Then the brown would then produce children, and then so on and so forth. So basically, like, if you kind of look at it like if you look at how Michael Jackson was, where he was dark.
What?
He had the big head, big nose.
I mean, this is actually nothing like that.
Not at all.
Nothing. Like everything. What? This is an individual over time.
Yeah, like this is nothing like you.
Completely different. Yeah. Just not in. I don't want to get into like what Michael Jackson was doing, wasn't doing, may have been doing.
Michael Jackson was a unique case. I think we can all agree on that.
But I'm glad.
What he's actually talking about, and I can't remember if he said it or not. Like, he's actually breeding babies to see which ones will be lighter and sacrificing the darker ones to get a different quote unquote, what do they call it, germ?
The brown
Which,
germ.
yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Um,
Yeah. So I'm glad
so
that
again, nothing like Michael Jackson. And regardless of what could have been going on with Michael Jackson, it's one person. Nothing like what Yakub was said to have been doing. And thank God it's just a fairy tale.
I'm
But
glad that
also, for $2, Left Handed Jedi says, "Damn it, Grayson," which I'm
Fair
feeling
enough.
in my heart and soul right now.
I think the
Yeah.
whole audience is probably feeling that one.
Yeah.
Hey,
So,
I'm just glad that we could debunk this stupid video and we could say, look, this video is wrong. Michael Jackson was actually not anything like what actually happened with Yakub's real experiments.
Yeah.
I
The real experiments, yeah.
Yeah. So,
Over a period of
debunked.
time, he went from being dark to light. He went from having a big nose to a straight nose, big lips to thin lips, and basically transformed. So you can go from black to what people consider white or pale, but you can't go the other way around. So anyway, people were dying along the journey, and this
I mean, Rachel Dolezal would have words to say about that.
journey took 600 years. He himself died along the journey because one of his brains exploded. So he didn't make it to see the end result. But
Just
That does happen.
we're just gonna just as a matter of course, one of his brains exploded.
I think that's probably happened to multiple audience members on this
What?
channel tonight.
Yeah, a lot of people were just like, "Oh God, look at the time." Damn it, Grayson. Yeah, this is it's kind of nuts, but
It is definitely true that
Mhm.
when you have multiple of an organ, sometimes one of them just like fails. Like I've had one of my two lungs collapse on multiple, like 5 separate occasions.
Oh,
I lost a
shit,
left
that's not
nut.
supposed to happen.
No, it's not. I've had a whole surgery to like prevent it. It hasn't happened in about 10 years. It's great. But
Yeah,
it was a whole thing.
yeah. That's the whole thing.
But
That's
none of my organs ever exploded. Although appendices do that occasionally.
Did
and
you
it's a
know
serious
that your
medical
brain can
condition.
spontaneously combust for no reason? It happened to you
Anything
too.
happened to my left nut. Luckily, like Tap was saying, you start
Did
out
you know
with
video
two, you
that?
can lose one.
however, he had loyal scientists that knew of his plan of what he was trying to achieve, and they actually completed that. And this would be what people call him Jews today, but they were originally Khazars. And if
I
you
love this.
study
All
the
right,
Jews,
right
you
now,
have two sects: the
I'm
Safavidim.
thinking about like the Manhattan Project for building white people. Like I'm thinking like Oppenheimer, but like they're constructing white people.
It probably would have been like that, honestly.
Why?
Because he didn't.
That is a good question.
Well, you
Wait,
know,
No,
the entire
he mentioned it. No, I do know why. And it was because he felt bad for being bullied, so he wanted to create like a new people that he could basically just be God and fuck
Yes.
with them and feel good about it.
Yes.
Okay? Like, this is actually a very common story in just
Yes.
creation myths generally, and it's fucking horrifying.
it's
It's very
Andrew
common.
for $10 says it sounds like they ripped off Dinotopia.
Dinotopia is a great series, man. I'm getting nostalgic flashbacks right now.
I don't even know what that is.
Wow.
You're a horrible nerd.
I am. I'm sorry.
And the Ashkenazim, which are descendants of these Khazars. And so the word Jew, as we have I break down all the time, is because they try to tie into the tribe of what they say Yehuda or Yehudi. That's what they say Jews are. And that will go to the tribe of Judah of the 12 tribes. Well, 13 if you include the female. But they're not the
Jews are a
original.
whole race.
tribe.
That's interesting.
So right now he's saying that the Jews are not actually the Israelites. They just are pretending to be one of the tribes, and that's why they call themselves Jews for the tribe. But
Right.
he's also spelling Jew with a G, the Jews. So I'm a little bit
that's
flustered
interesting.
about the whole thing.
Tribe of
Okay.
Judah. They play on the word Judah with Jew, but they're from the what we call the Jacobites or the Jebusites from the son Jebus. But anyway, so
Oh,
that
from the
Yakub
son
story,
Jebus. Okay, okay, the Jews are aliens too. Okay.
Of course. Of course. Why wouldn't they be?
Well, oh wait, why else would there be a star called Jebus? You ever
I
think of that
mean,
one, Maya?
I will be
Hey.
honest. Most of the time, when I hear the word Anunnaki being thrown around, it also involves space Hebrews.
Yeah, very common.
I'm
Thanks,
not.
Jordan.
Yeah, thanks, Jordan.
And I just want to clarify, okay, that the Jews being cosmological aliens related to the Anunnaki is just a stereotype, okay? It's just an anti-Semitic trope.
as I've explained, is the same story that the Nation of Islam tell, as you saw, because the person that was over that land, Shesh Bazar, is who they call Shabazz, where they say the tribe of Shabazz. And they refer to, if you look at the nation's teachings, as the original Asiatic black man. This is why in Wusabat we
I totally heard that as the original Asiatic Batman and not the original Asiatic black man, which is
No.
only
Oh my God.
slightly less. It is significantly less silly, but
Let me
still.
unpack this for you, okay? The Asiatic black people, they have black skin, they have melanin, but they have straight hair, okay? They don't have curly hair, or I think they use the word wool hair, which sounds very strange to me, but okay. They say that the Asiatic black people had straight hair, and they're the ones that, together with, actually, I don't even know if I can say this sentence, but they're the ones that started slavery together with the Jews, according to this guy. So, of
Yeah,
course, it
I
all
don't
goes back
blame
to
you.
Eve.
I don't blame you for being wary about that sentence construction there.
Yeah. So that, and he says that earlier in the video. I did see that part of the video where he says a lot of people say that slavery was being practiced in Africa before the Europeans implemented it. And that's true, but that's not the Africans that invented it. It was the Asiatic black people that
There
invented
was
it.
never
Jews.
there was never really a before slavery, is the
Yeah.
thing. Like, slavery was a thing in the
explain
But
that we're
basically,
not
as
the
far
original
back as we have history, yeah.
yeah.
If you look at the nation's teachings as the original Asiatic black man, this is why in Wusabat we explain that we're not the original Asiatic black man. That's referring to the East Indians who are, although they are black, they're dark, they had straight hair. And our unique trait on the planet as Nagaru or Negro is woolly 90 for hair. So that's where they had the information of the story, but it got mixed up. And then in the Bible, in the biblical stories, they tell you about the story of, Jacob and Esau and how the birthright was stolen. And, that's a whole different story. But yeah, so this Yakub that people keep asking about, this is how he came about, by these extraterrestrial descendants that lived in the inner world, or the caverns in the inner world called Shambhala, where you find many other beings that have been here for millions of years that have descendants on the planet. So when you look at everyone on the planet today, all the races, yeah, you have the original forefathers who came from some other constellations, other planets, dwelled here in the caverns. Some of them remained in the caverns and don't come up to the surface, and others came up to the surface. So, like we talk about the Donakil, which ties into the Dongalawa, or the tribes in Nubia today, which refer to that, and that ties into the Watusi tribe. And then you have the other side, which is the Pataites, which ties into Nekeba and her parents, Anath and Ptah. So that's the black. And then you have like these conehead beings that come from Jomon, right? From Jomon. These are weird Orientals. If you
Wait,
look at like the
pause it.
Chinese.
Oh, he already gave it up. I was gonna say we should guess
Sorry.
about who the Coneheads became, but he already said.
Yeah.
Go
They
back
kinda
a
look
little
like
bit,
them with
maybe,
Jomon
and
her
I'll just let
parents,
bro
Ptah.
cook.
So that's the black.
I'll just
And then
let
you
him
have like these conehead beings that come from Jomon, right? From Jomon. These are weird Orientals. If you look at like the Chinese, they kind of look like them with the features, and those are from Jomon. Then you look at people on the planet that are very obese, like they have a lot of weight. I'm not talking about people that just have weight, but the ones that are really obese to the point where they can't lose weight. That's because they have their genetics tied into these deros, right?
Really?
Well,
So all like morbidly obese, so like all Americans are just tied into these people. Like, where are we going with this?
Yeah, apparently the
it's an
Chinese.
acknowledgement that obesity can be genetically determined. Like that's something.
Yeah, so the Asians come from the Coneheads, and all the fat people come from the Delo, and they're like, I guess they're their own race in this conception. I don't know where the Asian, like sumo wrestlers, I don't know if they're half Conehead, half Dello, or what.
That's a great question, because like when they were talking about like Yakub, like, and his eugenics, like it was one thing when it's like, okay, well, you have these babies and they, were this race, and you have these babies and they were this race. But like, are these just like aliens from other planets that all decided to land on Earth at the same time and just set up shop? I don't understand.
Yeah, it's like the
Yeah,
crazy part.
Maya.
The crazy part to me is that an obese person can get a DNA test,
Mhm.
and they can have two non-obese parents.
Mhm.
That clearly their DNA is just a mix of their parents.
Yeah.
And for some reason, I don't know if the geneticists are covering this up or if they're just too stupid because most of them are white or what, but they keep missing the genetic component from the Delos. I don't know why.
I
For $10, Reggio says, would red string and a pinboard, help sort out the origins of all humanoids?
No,
No.
you need a whiteboard.
No. See, because what they are talking about cannot be traced to one people group. Just, fat people get like retconned back to the you whatever people here. And I don't know if you have to have. I don't know how the genetics works in this world. Hey, you're the geneticist tonight, Grayson. What do you think?
Right, right. Well, as someone who has taken genetics and experimental genetics lab in my undergrad, that would rank me as the geneticist in the panel right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I personally think that it's a global conspiracy by the Illuminati to cover up the genetic components in various races that trace back to these inner world alien beings.
Mm-hmm.
Because obviously they're trying to keep this sacred knowledge from us and keep us down.
mean, I completely agree with what Grayson has just said.
Mm-hmm.
The pervasiveness of the overriding will of the Masonic order, it can't be discounted.
For $2, a sinister purpose says, C's major here. Grids can be a type of graph, which is
CS.
like, yeah, a long time ago. But this is when we were talking about the grid.
Well, yeah. Well, so a grid is a type of a graph, but a
Mhm.
grid specifically, I think, implies or denotes a rectangular organization, whereas a graph can just be a bunch of collected, vertices and edges. So, all right, I'm gonna press play.
And so everyone on the planet has some link to these extraterrestrials by way of their descendants in the caverns. And some people have something called hirsutism. This ties into those Duanis that we spoke about, or the shaggy beings that you will find in ancient Sumeria with Enkidu, for example.
Grayson?
There it is. There it is. So it's not a race that we would typically think of. It's just Hirsuite people, the people that have a so-called genetic mutation or rare allele that makes them very hairy. Yeah, you'd think that those are just normal humans and should be treated like everyday people, but no, they're actually descendants of these weird porcupine gremlin men.
I want to
Uh-huh.
be a porcupine gremlin, man.
Well, too bad you're a failed genetic experiment.
I know. I'm sorry.
$5, Jester
That we spoke
says,
about.
when the Gouda don't succeed in Earth, you will be grateful.
Mhm.
That looks like it's probably Klingon.
Ah,
And I think that's probably bombing, and then like something happened. But
does anybody here speak Klingon?
I do not. I am not
You
that
are a
much of a
bad
nerd.
nerd. God damn.
Okay, that is an extremely high bar. What do I look like? Dapper?
It's Stargate. It's not Star Trek. It's from Stargate.
Oh, you're right. The chat is agreeing with you. It's
I don't
Stargate.
fucking know. I've never seen
Thank
Stargate.
you. Let's
Okay,
see.
this
Don
does make me a bad
Giovanni,
nerd.
Mark Agamotto.
It does make me a bad nerd, not knowing that it's Stargate. Like I will cop to that one.
Brigwin, Jillian.
Oh man,
Wow.
our chat is so
Girls
mad
got
at
to
us
it
right now.
first. Yeah. Team girl. Love it.
I'm so sorry, chat.
Or the shaggy beings that you will find in ancient Sumeria with Enkidu, for example. Because when you look at the epics of Gilgamesh, his best friend was called Enkidu, and those Enkiduites are those hairy beings. So all the biblical stories, all the people on the planet, they relate or tie back into these extraterrestrials in some way, shape, or form. And Yakub's story is just one of those strange stories that got passed over and remixed, but it literally comes from him being, this birth between, two different people. We talked about the downside.
I mean, he invented white people, okay? Like, just one of those strange stories. Like, hey, am I just... What am I, chopped liver?
I don't
Well,
like,
I'm glad that we could explain where you came from, Tap. Now
put this
you
down to like
understand the root.
1.4 or something. Like he's mumbling. He's all mumble mouth now. Maybe it's the wine. I don't know. But like or it could just be like that he's actually incoherent. I have no idea what he's talking about though.
But do we want to go over like any of the? Oh, there's the. How are the Pleiadians involved? There's a little.
Oh wow, I didn't even watch that part. So the Pleiadians are a total mystery to me. But before we go there, what he was talking about with Down syndrome, because I think
Right, we were looking for that.
That was right here.
yeah, let's watch that one because this is actually he gets into the real science here, and he starts talking about chromosomes and DNA.
Okay.
I saw this part.
So people of the planet Earth normally have 46 chromosomes. However, because the Terrors have 48 chromosomes, their structure is so different. When mixed with certain humans, it resulted in a defect called Down syndrome, right? So Down syndrome from different races, they have the same traits. Where the individual, right, has 46.
So this thing that they have on the screen is correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is like we're bending over backwards here to point out something good here.
Down syndrome.
You are.
You're right. I am. Yeah, I'm sorry. That's like
Give
my
this
job.
guy any
Sorry.
credit.
Races, they have the same traits. Where the individual, right, has 47 chromosomes. So because of the 46 chromosomes of the humans and the 48 chromosomes of the Terros, you get individuals that come out and they have 47 chromosomes, and this is where the result of Down syndrome comes from. And it can be found in any race on the planet Earth.
Pause it for a second.
Just as the Terros.
I would also like to highlight the comment by Vic Lit here about how if you look at this text, every single word is capitalized.
Yeah, I was like,
my God.
I don't know why.
You didn't notice that, Maya?
Yeah, it's like they're trying to make it sound more like important or more ancient and just capitalizing every word. Why not?
I think either they have like weird beliefs about the meaning of capital letters, or they somehow got stuck in a certain mode on like Microsoft Word and literally wrote the entire book this way.
Yeah, I saw that earlier. I'm just like, what is going on here? But yeah, the thing about you could just really easily debunk this nonsense about Down syndrome. Just like they have one extra chromosome, but it's a copy of human chromosome 21. It's not a telos chromosome. Like if it was an actual alien chromosome that they're inheriting from an alien parent, it wouldn't look like a human chromosome. It would not look like a copy of a chromosome that they already have.
I mean, exactly.
Sorry, I just like the absurdity of like what he's saying. I'm just like,
Like, I think he's actually saying that every single Down syndrome person has an alien parent. One of their two
Yes.
very human
Yes.
parents who exist and you can talk to is actually an alien conehead in disguise.
And
Yeah.
only this extra
Yeah.
chromosome,
That is exactly
Is-
what he's saying.
that's the only one that's alien.
But it looks exactly like a human chromosome.
Yeah,
Well, right, because
Well, have you
Period.
seen Star Trek? Like, all of the aliens are just humans with differently shaped, like, minor facial features.
Yeah, I don't think we should ever show this guy Star Trek because he's going to think it's all just a
oh
documentary.
no, it's a documentary. Yeah, 100%. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Grayson. What were you saying?
Well, I was thinking when you were asking about where did the Pleiadians come from? They didn't have enough time to evolve on their home planet. But then I was like, there's a 0% chance that any of these people accept evolution is real. So, I mean, that's
Oh,
ridiculous. I mean,
so
evolution. A monkey turned into a tree? What? That's ridiculous. That's too crazy, That's too out there.
no, I mean that is a fair point. Where, despite all the, you know what, I'm not even gonna.
that have an abundance of melanin in their skin are descendants of the Shuyuk.
Okay, we
And
covered
those that
this
lack
part.
melanin are
We covered this part. Do we want to skip to any other parts of the video? Or
Yeah.
Have we been exposed?
Why did Yakub have a large head? I mean, we have discussed it, but I like this bit.
Where are the other ones? Whoa, you're way
Oh,
too
there's
fast.
a whole
how
list.
did Yakub
Okay.
die or whatever?
There-
You can't expect me to read all that.
We could always look at the comments. That's an endless source of.
You're trying to kill me.
How did Yakub die? His brain exploded. Why did he start school so young? Because he was
He's
a
super
genius
smart.
with two.
Is the true the pale Jew was first to start? Like, I'm not misreading this. Is it true the pale Jew was the first to start the slave trade in the New World?
Might as well.
Oh God. God damn it.
Might as well hit that one.
So the question is asked, is it true that the pale Jew was the first to start the slave trade in the New World? Answer, this is quite true. Jews who came over with Christopher Columbus returned with Native American to sell in Spain as slaves. Many of these Jews employed non-Jewish slaves.
Why is this the Jews' fault?
It's always.
Because everything is.
It's always. I mean, there's the saying that there's only one real conspiracy, and that's anti-Semitism.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
I mean,
And
this is
dealers, the
just
pale Jew-
highlighting that is totally the truth.
That's fair. Yeah.
were the largest dealers of slaves. And it shows a picture of Christopher Columbus. Where do the British and the Dutch come into the slave trade? Whether they live in England, Holland, or Israel. As mentioned before, some Jews employed the non-Jewish British, Spanish, and Dutch as captains of ships and for other tasks. But the Jews were the kings of
It just makes it hard to read, you guys. This is like the capitals make it hard to read.
the slave trade. Do not think that slavery started all of a sudden on the continent of Africa. Slavery had existed in Africa and the Middle East since ancient times. Then the Jews, not Israelites, had begun the trade. It took a turn for the worst. For centuries, Jews had a hard time starting the slave trade in Africa because even though the pale man had guns, he didn't have a match to the strength and the fighting skills of the African foreparents and their simple weapons. Yeah, that's a story for another video, but we're gonna just focus on the Yakub story, right? Because
Oh God, my brain's destroyed.
Yeah, you did this to yourself.
I did, and I apparently I did to Maya too because she actually watched this twice.
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
now she's
no, I did. I
watching
really
it.
did. I really did. I was just like, holy shit.
Was I not correct in saying that this is the most insane video on YouTube? Like, I can't think of one that
I don't think you understand.
You haven't seen our Terrence
exactly
Howard
how-
video.
Yeah,
No,
Wait,
it was
Maya,
crazy.
stop right there.
It was to
Maya,
the point where
no.
was it Skeptics and Scoundrels was like, guys, I can't.
Tap.
I'm
swear.
cool.
Tap. Go to this channel right now. Click on this channel. Go to its most popular views and go to the video. Terrence Howard was right about everything.
Yeah, but you said this video.
No, I'm but like on this channel, one of their most popular videos is
Are
Terrence Howard
we
was right
doing
about
this?
everything.
Like, this is actually a very... This makes sense.
The egg cannot come before the chicken. The chicken has to be there first in order to lay it. It has to mate.
Hold up. This is a riddle that most people try to solve. What came first, the chicken or the egg? Now, no one was able to answer this until I came across Panda Babyanun's.
It was the egg, okay? Because you didn't say chicken egg, so it was the egg, because there were eggs way before there were chickens.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, yeah, let's this play out. This is interesting.
This is an hour-long video.
What's your point?
Answer to
Strap
it.
in.
Most people think that it has to be
Fair enough.
a choice between those two things. You see, so that means you can't think of anything outside of that. That's the problem, because the chicken comes from the dinosaur.
Yeah.
And the dinosaur
It is a
pre-existed. So it's not, it doesn't make sense when you say what
Whoa.
came first, the chicken or the egg,
Yeah,
when
but-
the chicken itself comes from the dinosaur.
Why does that not make sense?
Wait a minute, like that's that. Well, chickens are still dinosaurs, but at the same time, he's like he's getting this much closer than most creationists do. Like,
You're right, but the conclusion, like, syntactically and semantically does not follow.
I'm just shocked that he seems to accept evolution of dinosaurs. Like,
Does he, or is he accepting it for the sake of, like, finding a
He
contradiction?
doesn't
in our
accept
worldview?
evolution of Homo sapiens. So,
Yeah.
like,
Well, how do you know
of dinosaurs
that?
and birds. I mean, that's impressive.
well, okay, Maya, it would be a little bit ridiculous if all the birds were also aliens from Hollow Earth. I mean, come on.
Okay. You got me there.
Maya never admits it when I'm right.
And you look at a chicken, look at its structure,
It's because I'm never right.
look at its feet, look at, it's just a miniature version. Okay, so we're here just about to watch the Joe Rogan Experience with Terrence Howard.
Oh, God.
Haven't seen any of it, so looking forward to, giving our reaction and comments, or, whatever.
How many views does this have, by the way?
The Joe.
This has...
Oh my god, dude.
Well, they said Terrence Howard. So, I mean,
This is just so messed up. Who is watching these videos, man? Who? Oh.
We are the problem. We're not the problem.
Oh god. Should we? I mean,
well,
oh yeah. There you go. Skip to the most popular parts.
Last one, I was like, what happens when 24 bubbles meet? This is the negative space. If you pull to a horizontal on it,
You see, you saw it, innit? I was just about to say that. That is crazy. Yeah.
I
So
was
that's
just about to
two
say that.
triangles, or two pyramids, one upside down. And as above,
those
so below.
triangles?
But go on, let's keep going.
me. This is where you cannot distinguish this from the background because all of the electrical potential has been accounted for. This would be the Bose-Einstein condensate.
Oh my
where
God damn it!
something becomes indistinguishable from
Wait.
the fabric of
No.
space.
I was actually just about to say that. Like, this is exactly like Bose-Einstein condensate.
No, it's not. Why are you
No.
like
No.
this?
Look. Okay, in a Bose-Einstein condensate, the
Don't
the
tell
matter
them
can,
about
the matter can pass through itself, much like the bubble pyramids in this very accurate diagram.
none of that made sense.
my thesis
Oh God.
in its title uses the term Bose-Einstein condensate. Okay, I am a physicist. This is my physics, and I hate them. And I wanna like find where they live, and I'm not a bad person, so I don't know actually where to go from there. But
In Minecraft.
like,
And it gives them a very stern talking to.
yes, exactly. Like, that's all I've got. Literally, where my mind went was like order them a shit ton of pizzas and like have it like charged for cash, and then they like because they're that but
You're
because
so adorable.
I'm not a bad person, Maya. Even
No,
though
no, Terrence Howard is. I understand.
But no, it's not a fucking Bose-Einstein condensate. He doesn't know what that means. A Bose-Einstein condensate is a situation in which a lot of particles are all in the same ground quantum state. It is a macroscopic occupation of the single particle ground state. That's that requires some other background, but that's the short version. And I
How's your brain?
it's broken.
The back.
Let's figure out why.
One upside down. And yes, as above, so below. But go on, let's keep going.
Me. This is where you cannot distinguish this from the background because all of the electrical potential has been accounted for. This would be the
That's where I was going to pause, by the way. After electrical potential, that whole rant was supposed to be about electrical potential, not about the words that he says next.
all of the electrical potential has been accounted for. This would be the Bose-Einstein condensate, where something becomes indistinguishable from the fabric of space itself, the final state of matter. Something, and the proof of this.
You like to
the Platonic
explain what it means?
It means a macroscopic occupation of the single particle ground state. A Bose-Einstein condensate is when all of the stuff is as cold as it can be, and it's all in the same place at the same time, behaving as like one sort of big unit.
So it becomes space-time.
No, it doesn't fucking become space-time! How did you get that from what I said? The fact that it becomes one big coherent object in space does not mean that it becomes space. Why are you like this?
So you're saying it does become space.
Wait. He's
This
saying
made
that
me actually explode.
he's saying that the electric potential becomes nullified with the background.
What? Where are my glasses?
Like, I can't see.
Okay, we've
This
actually
is funny. I love it. Is his head like? Is his brain like his skull right? Like just pulsating from like
I think
all
that
the phase bullshit at once.
It's about to explode like Yakub. Here's what I'm most curious about, right? And there's no way that we can answer this question tonight, but brave viewers, if you have the courage and strength for it, please somebody watch this entire video because I want to know what Terry was. The title of this is that Terry is right about most things. I want to know what these two.
Oh my God, you're right.
Here,
It is.
what he's right about and what he's not right about. I really genuinely want to know what they think. Like, yeah,
We need a
he's
breakdown.
right about the 1 × 1 = 2
Okay.
thing, but he's just wrong about like what? What is he going to be wrong about?
If somebody does a breakdown of this video in the comments, I will totally go on Grayson's stream because I assume Maya is like totally done with this hot nonsense.
No, like the first thing, hey, Grayson was like, "We have to do Yakub," and I was like, "I already did Yakub." That was just, it was a month ago.
You didn't do it on BSS. You didn't do it on BSS.
Yeah, he said that, and then he was just like, "No, I found the perfect video," and then I was just like, "You should do it on your channel. Bring Tap with you."
She did say that.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, she's okay, but then I said no. Stop trying to pawn Tap off on me. He's your responsibility. Okay, you got him. You have to take care of him.
That is such a familiar story.
Well, I'm glad that we could all have fun tonight and share a laugh together. What's that? You am I forgetting something? Uh, oh, you're here to get your mind wiped. Wow, okay, you must really want to get your memories wiped, don't you? Okay, I don't blame you. Far be it from me. I am happy to oblige. Make sure that you all have checked out Maya Atkinson's channel and subscribed to Bad Science Sunday, because if you haven't, you're not going to remember to do so after this. So this is your last chance. Do everything that you need to do. And remember, folks, keep curious, stay learning, have a nice life. Goodbye.